Hello, regular knife people. This is the regular guy, this regular guy knife channel. Here again for another video. It's been a bit since my last video. You know, you gotta get out there and earn the bread so you can keep your addiction fed, right? So as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, this is a video for just a quick video on a couple of knives that I've just recently acquired. I was going to do a unboxing video, but I had to grab these from the post office, and I had 2 late shifts followed by an early shift, and there was no way I was going to hold on to these for 3 days without opening up the packaging. So now instead we'll just do a little quick brief overview of the knives. We'll talk a little bit about the maker, my experiences ordering from that maker, and then show off another new driver. I have one from the same maker, ordered on Etsy. I'll go over a little bit more with actual information on how you too could get a hold of one if you so choose, right? So getting at the knives here. So a while back, I was in the market for another knife. I've been on a kick, an overbuilt knife kick lately. Generally love my Medfords. And I was in the market for a flipper fighter. If you looked into them, then you kind of know their pricing. And I really wasn't finding any in the finishes that I was looking for, and I'm really unwilling to wait, 9 months to 14 months or whatever the ridiculous wait time is if you order direct from Medford right now. I had been seeing, I've seen a few of this maker's knives before online. Generally, the Hall Grind usually has a couple in stock. And yeah, I just went perusing around the internets, got onto the YouTubes, found a couple of reviews of this maker, and everything that was said about him was nothing but fantastic, right? Super nice guy, fantastic product, great attention to detail. So yeah, so I reached out to the maker, ADV, right? If you don't recognize the labels, Mr. Andre de Villers. Reached out to him on his through Facebook Messenger, which is one of his preferred contact methods, and spent a couple of days back and forth conversing with him on options for ordering knives. They have a fantastic website right here at the here we go, ADV Tactical.co.za. Very, very nice website, very pretty pictures, those Instagram / coffee table book style pictures, and they go over a couple of the options of the knives, and then they and as well as the pricing. Very communicative, right? I reached out to him, he got back to me immediately. Anytime I asked about options on the knives, he immediately sent me pictures, of examples of the work. He sent me pictures of examples of the finishes. I mean, it was an amazing experience, right? It's one of those things, right? They say every man should order a suit at least one time in his life just so he can have the experience of being fitted. You owe it to yourself to experience ordering a custom, or a mid-tech, at least once in your life, right? Because you're getting a knife your way, right? You're getting it how you want it, as opposed to just that one looks cooler than the other one in the picture, right? So from what I gathered, ADV is built giant, big, heavy-duty, overbuilt knives, right? And kind of in the style or in the style of like the Medfords. Mr. de Villers been doing knives since I believe early 1990. So he has years of experience. On his website, he's got some fixed blades, he's got some folders, he's got some traditional styles, some slip joints, right? And he does have he has a pretty good range of knives. I mean, for one guy, for one shop, right? They do make quite a few various models. I'll go into some details once I've kind of unwrapped both of them here. things that I kind of like, and you don't necessarily always see in, say, like a one-man, in a one-man band. These are mid-techs. I'm not completely sure where his production parts come from, if they're manufactured in-house. I know he does have a couple of knives that he's collabed with Reiki, so I would assume that his production parts are probably manufactured by Reiki. But as you'll see when we get in here, the level of fit and finish, is substantial. He does a substantial amount of handwork on these knives. So yes, they are a mid-tech, right? They use production parts, but because of the amount of options, the high degree of fit and finish, the absolute quality. I mean, these are, in my eye, to me, I consider these to be a custom, right? They're at that level. So I guess we can start getting into them. Before we open them up here, one quick word on the cases they came in, right? I'm kind of of two minds, right, of packaging, right? Because like, say in the case of the Demco, the AD 20.5, right? That's like $20 worth of packaging, right? You could have given me like S35, right, and putting that thing in a brown paper box, right? I appreciated it. It was cool, it does aid in the experience of unboxing. Realistically, we shove all that stuff in a Ziploc bag, you throw it in the tub, right, and it'll never see the light of day again until we go to sell or trade the knife, right? These come in absolute fantastic quality Cordera zippered cases, right? If you've ever had any experience with Cordera gear, say a really nice backpack, or you were in the military and your combat gear, right? You know what quality Cordera / ballistic nylon gear feels like, right? The zipper, the stitching, the feel of the fabric, the thickness of everything, right? You know what a quality piece of kit feels like, and this is all of that, right? I'm actually going to save out one of these and use these as a sunglasses case, because it's extremely nicely padded. I mean, this is a nice knife case. Once you see the knives inside, though, you'll know that in no way does the value of the case diminish the value of the knife inside, right? All right, let's get the first one open here. We started out with the Tanto. All right, I believe on his website, the actual model name of this knife is the Tanto Gen 2. There's a little confusing. There's a G2 and a Gen 2. As far as I can tell, the difference between them is the G2 is just your standard smooth slab-sided scale, and the Gen 2 is has the frag pattern on it. Yeah, you can see this is a substantially large knife. I mean, look at the thickness on that spine. That's huge. Here in just a second, once I get the other knife out of the package, I'll grab a scale and the mic here, and we'll get some hard data on the sizes. But this is a whopper of a knife, right? I mean, it's big. I can fit all of my hand plus on there. I like it. Normally I'm not a huge fan of the finger grooves and the scales. Some part of my hand ends up crowded, right? But it's so generous that you've got room, a little bit of room back and forth on where to put your fingers, and it is a very comfortable knife, right? And every single bit of titanium on this thing has been polished or blasted and is finished in some way or another. I went with the flamed pattern because, I mean, look, it absolutely gorgeous. I mean, absolutely, it's some of the prettiest flame finishing on any knife I have ever seen. I mean, it's a mirror polish on that titanium, and it is just gorgeous. And then you can see where the low spots where still retain that blasted finish, so they have a much darker color to them. Just gorgeous. I mean, look at the polish on that pivot, right? To me, a pivot is you know, it's not just hardware, right? I like when they do something to dress that pivot up, right? Like they do with the rest of the knife. And that is gorgeous. All right, and the pocket clip on all of his pocket clips, right? They're all fairly unique. They're pretty individualistic as far as the knife. He doesn't seem to have just one cookie cutter pocket clip that's used to cover all his knives. Each model seems to have their own, but it's, you know, flame anodized, faced and flamed, I think is what they call that. And it has a roller, which I've never seen before. It just makes it slide up and over the lip of your pocket that much easier, and it just snaps down like authoritatively, but it doesn't, it's not tearing up the top of your pocket. That roller bearing is it works, right? But I mean, that is insane, right? A roller bearing on your pocket clip. I have not disassembled either knife yet. I have seen them disassembled, but from what I understand, these are on multi-road bearings. The pivots are anyways. They do have a steel lock bar insert with a attached over travel stop inside. Hopefully here in the future we'll do a disassembly video of these knives, and we can take a look at the much greater look at the details. But the thing that really struck me with these knives, especially having recently had an experience with another premium knife that was of the same price, right? But in no way this knife's equal in fit and finish, right? There is not a sharp edge anywhere on this knife where it doesn't belong, right? Everything has been chamfered, or at least the edge is broken, especially back here on the spine of the blade. Areas that are normally left kind of sharp, you know, after the machining, they've at least been broken over. The thing that gets me on this knife the most, right, is the lock bar, right? There is not, it's rounded, right? It's soft. It's all been chamfered, right? How often do we complain about that on frame locks, right? That razor sharp, especially Medfords, right? They're the ones that kill me the most, right? You know, for all their advanced machining and processing and everything, right? That lock bar cut is always just absolutely razor skin shaving sharp, right? This thing it's smooth as butter. I mean, it's just it blew me away. There is a sharp shoulder or a sharp edge here to the fuller on the blade, but that doesn't bother me, right? I actually kind of like that. You know, it allows you to get a good grip on that with your fingers if you're going to open the blade, you know, that way. Compound grind, right? S35V, right? Don't take all my finger schmutzes. This thing is beautifully finished. Beautifully finished. I mean, it absolutely flawlessly finished, right? You got that nice compound grind. You got that swedge up here towards the front. You got that deep fuller. That, I mean, we'll make it, but that's getting close to it too. That's getting close to a quarter-inch thick right there. It's got that square jimping that's smooth until you put just a smidge of pressure on it, and then it grabs, right? And then a little bit back here too for the thumb, and the same thing. It's nice and smooth. Apply a little bit of pressure and it grabs. But just overall, absolutely flawless. I can't find anything wrong. I mean, if I was going to say anything, the detent is a bit tight, but holy cow! I mean, that's like 4 ounces of blade, right? It's going to have a stiff detent for a bit. The other thing I noticed too is the timing of the detent, right? So on a lot of knives, right, call it what you want, double clutching, right? Where the detent actually engages that ramp and then starts moving up to get up and on the blade, right? It's usually much later in the swing of the blade. It's right about down here, which to me bugs the heck out of me, right? Because on a flipper, when you open it immediately or close it immediately, it's going to stop right there where the flipper tab hits your thumb, right? And then you're going to have to shake it down past that detent. This actually starts up on the ramp just before that flipper tab is going to hit your thumb, so that by the time it stops on your thumb, it's already up. The detent is already up and over the ramp and on the blade, and There you go, right? And it has such a satisfying clunk when it locks closed. I mean, that's, yeah, and it is a swing. The knife jumps in your hand when that blade locks open. You know, that much steel traveling that fast and that much momentum, there's a bit of recoil to it. It is a substantial knife and a substantially thick tip too. You know, it is just, yeah, it is beautiful. My son called it the Medford with imagination. That's not taking a shot at Medford knives, right? I love Medford knives, but you know, to get something this fancy, you know, in a Medford, you're gonna pay for it, right? Yeah, that's the Tanto G2. Out of the two, this was the most expensive. This one was $530, right? All titanium construction, S35V, hand ground, right? Compound ground blade, quarter-inchish thick, right? $530 shipped, because he covers the shipping, right? Wait time on these knives. We'll talk about that at the end. Let's get going. Just in case you're only here for the porn and then you want to move on. All right, knife number 2. Now this is one I've seen reviews of the G2 Tanto, the plain scaled Tanto. So I've seen reviews of that, and I have seen a couple reviews, right, of this guy, right, the Alpha. Except this isn't just the Alpha, this is the Alpha S, which is the compound ground Alpha. And it has the options if for those weirdos out there that like the you know, combo edges, you can actually get this one. You can get this one in a combo edge. I personally, I can't sharpen serrations to save my ass, right? I hate sharpening serrations. In the Army, you know, I loved my serrated knives because they stayed sharp longer. They would murder, you know, an MRE package, and I generally lost them long before they ever became dull enough to need sharpening. You know, now that I actually pay good money for knives that I want to hold on to for a while, I avoid the serrations. I liked that compound ground effect though, so I went with the S with none of without the compound edge, right? So yeah, harpoon, right? Harpoon with a nice big swedge. It's got the thicker side of the compound grind towards the pivot, you know, which is nice, and then that big massive flat grind. This knife is huge. It is huge. Just like the G2 up there, the Tanto, not a sharp edge anywhere on this knife. Anywhere. There's some schmutz here. That's for me. I did that. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to get at it with some cleaner here in a few. But flawless, absolutely flawless, perfect out of the box, right? It is such a joy to hold on to this knife, right? There's not a sharp edge anywhere. It has such a mix of textures, right? You've got that smooth finished kind of matte carbon fiber. You've got the blasted titanium, you know, which transitions to the polished edges. I asked it to be done in a darker bronze, because I know that when you're blasted on top and polished on the sides, that real dark, almost black, will then lighten up into a gold color, and this just came out amazing, right? It is that really dark gold bronze with just a hint of purple in there, you know, the thing that makes a anodized titanium, you know, so amazing is the color changing effect it has. That sunlight, it's purplish blue, and then it's gold bronze. This thing is just absolutely gorgeous. The other nice thing I liked is if you look at the pivots, right? Same basic shape, same basic design, but they're two completely different. They're two different sizes, right? he's not, you know, for the major hardware, he's not reusing the major hardware throughout the knives. And not that that's a big issue, right? Because that saves money, right? It's easier just to have 5,000, you know, pivot bolts made up, and then you use those on all your knives, right? But if it's a custom, you know, or a mid-tech or a very expensive knife, I like to see some uniqueness between the models. And like I said, I consider the pivot to be a major part of the knife, and not just, you know, a piece of hardware like the clip screws would be, right? Styling on this guy is just, to me, it tickles me, right? Because this is, to me, it's got a very cyberpunk, early anime look to it, right? Like you would see, like Major would whip this thing out, or Akira would whip this thing out, right? Like, it just has that look. It has so much going on. It's very visually busy, but it works stylistically. It just works together, you know. It's easy at first glance to kind of just go, that's an expensive gas station knife. No, man, this has got so much going on, but it just stylistically, it all works, right? Just a gorgeous knife. I mean, the pocket clip on that thing is just, it's awesome, right? And not to be left out, it has its own roller bearing in there too. It's hidden up underneath the front lip of the clip. And I don't know if you can tell right there from the side profile, but that thing's like, it's deep carry, right? It's less than a ½ inch exposed above the pocket. Now, whether or not you've got pockets deep enough where you can fit all of this beast in there and actually carry it to full depth's another question. But I mean, that clip is set for I mean, I think this thing carries deeper than a Spyderco Delica does, right? It's amazing, right? And the finish on the hardware and how it matches, right? That's another thing you don't always see, right? You know, matching titanium hardware when it's just a simple anodizing job, but one of these really complex, you know, anodized finishes, very rarely do they actually ever match across all the pieces, right? This thing matches, right? Even the safety, yes, it has a safety and it's just a button lock, but even the safety, you know, the safety matches, right? It is just gorgeous. S35 steel again. It's got a geared Spidey hole, which has some similar jimping to the J2, but G2, but it's smooth, but when you put some pressure on it, it grabs, right? And no sharp edges. The spine isn't crowned, but as you can see, it is chamfered, right? And then when you get out here towards the dip behind the front of the harpoon tip, right, the edges are broken, right? And it's just, every part of this knife is been gone over, right? It feels like a custom made knife, right? It feels like a human being has put some serious work. A human being that knows what they're doing anyways has put some work into it. A couple other nice features I like. It is a button lock, right? But if you look down, if we can look down into there, that is a substantial amount of metal locking that blade, right? That is a big chunk of steel. So the one piece of hardware on this entire knife that is not titanium is the lock button and pin here, and it is steel, and it is substantial. The other nice thing I like is it's capped, right? So instead of it just being an open hole with the back side of that button moving up and down in there, there's an actual cap on there, so you don't see it, right? It'll move around inside, and you don't see it, and you know, and the action is ridiculous. I have seen one of these things disassembled, so I do know that these do have multi-road bearings in them. We will be doing a disassembly on it, and you two can take a look at it. And then it has a lock, right, which is kind of odd, right, for us, for American knives, you know. Whatever, take it or leave it. You can lock the blade closed, and then you can also lock it open. Right, so kind of cool, kind of different. You know, I mean, realistically, You know, this isn't my emergency rescue myself knife. Yeah, you know, it'll probably travel in my pocket to the bar a few times, but beyond that, you know, I bought it because I'm addicted to knives, not because I had a need for a big giant, you know, tactical style knife. And I didn't really want it to look all tactical, because he'll do that too. He's got the all murdered out, you know, all black finished black G10, you know, versions. But I wanted something that was subdued and while being elegant, and I really think he pulled that off with the finish on this knife. That gold, that bronzy gold purpley colors, it's absolutely spectacular in person. And you know, it's just a gorgeous knife. I love the aesthetic of it. I really dig that cyberpunky anime look to it. It's a fantasy knife, right? It's a fantasy tactical fighter, maybe, right? But it's gorgeous, and it's huge, and it's substantial. Looking at the two knives side by side, looking at the spine thickness, you go, oh, you know, that's got a pretty thin blade now, right? It is not thin, right? It's just thin compared to its brother over here, but it's in that 187-ish range, right? Which is like Medford's honking thick ass knives, right? And it's just got a massive amount of it in S35V. I mean, if we were talking value here, right? We always talk about the great materials and workmanship that goes into these Chinese knives, and they're a great value, you know, and yada yada yada, right? There's like 5 Wii's worth of titanium and S35 in this knife, right? So at $500, you know, it's kind of a value, right? This guy was actually a little bit more. I think I paid $470 over the list price, because the carbon fiber, the quilted carbon fiber, was like a $10 upgrade, right? And that was the only option that actually cost me more than the standard list price of the knife was the carbon fiber, right? But I love that carbon fiber. I mean, it had it gives such an organic look while actually being a modern man-made material. You know, it has that kind of that walnut burl look to it, but it's not, right? It's carbon fiber. I like that. So yeah, so for the cost of a flipper fighter, you know, retail, we got two choose your own adventure mid-techs, right, from a fantastic maker. My knives took me right at a month from the date that I paid the man to the day that I received them at the post office. From what I understand, his normal times are about 2 weeks. Mine took a little bit longer because, not paying attention, I ordered mine the week before the Atlanta Blade Show, and Mr. DeVillers and ADV Tactical did a 10. So that's logistically, that's then being able to get home and get them out to me 2 weeks later. Is pretty amazing. I mean, the logistical challenges of getting you and your knives from South Africa to Atlanta must be quite surmounting. But he somehow achieved that and got me my knives and my finishes, you know, in record time, you know. Yeah, I mean, great knives, right? And going forward here in the future, we'll do a little bit of disassembly on these, maybe if you all are interested, and go into much greater detail on the parts. You know, I don't mind weighing individual parts or micing individual parts and getting their thicknesses and dimensions and stuff. But just real quick here, because you know, I don't like doing the size comparisons, because I don't like the visual comparison between this knife and that knife. But we'll throw them on a ruler here. All right, so the Alpha S, from the tip of the blade to the end of the scales, looks right at about just a smidge over 9.5 inches. So 9.5 inches, we'll call that total length, with a total blade length that is right at 5 inches, right? So that's 5 inches. 5 inches of blade, 9.5 inches of knife. And on the Tanto, we're looking at right at about 4 inches of blade, right? And 9 inches of knife. Okay, that's not bad. 4 inches of blade with 5 inches of handle is not a bad ratio at all. Let's see if we can get we'll get the solid thickness numbers here real quick on the spines. Then we'll throw them on the scale, and then we'll wrap this video up. Let's see here. Let's see if I can kind of do this one-handed without cutting my fingers off. Let's see if they'll stand. Ooh, let's see. Will it? Yes, it'll stand. All right. So let's get. This is probably exciting to watch right now. We're just about there. All right, so 2/10 of an inch, right? So yeah, 1/5 of an inch, right? Just slightly under 1/4 of an inch. That is massive. All right. Now I'm not doing thickness behind cutting edge because it's thick, but again, these things cut. They cut like thick, sharp knives cut. The Alpha a little bit better because that big tall blade really has a lot of it tapers down pretty fine on the grind with that flat grind. So this looks like it's gonna be so just under that 1/8/7. All right, just under the 1/8/7, right, in thicknesses. So about 0.182 in freedom units here. All right, so oops. Thick knives. I've got a scale here. I had to get a kitchen scale because my normal little gram scale is you throw one of these bad boys on it and it just tells you, it just gives you an oofta, not an actual weight. All right, so in ounces, the Alpha S is coming in at 4.1 ounces. No, there's no way. Let's see there, that is fluid ounces, no. Grams, 81 grams. I think my Walmart food scale here is goofy. 232, I can believe that. Let's see if we can get it back to ounces, pounds here. 8.2 ounces. That seems more realistic. All right, 8.2 ounces for the Alpha S, and the Tanto gonna be a little bit heavier here. 8.4 ounces. So not bad. Both of them heavy knives, right? Both of them heavy knives. Probably not the knives you're gonna slip into your jogging pants pockets. But if you're a grown ass person and you're wearing jogging pants, I don't feel like knives are really your thing to begin with. Not really a worry. So again, the whole experience of ordering these guys, great contact, great communication, quick to get back with you. You do got to understand that they're half a world away, so their time zone, his time zone's a little bit different than ours. But he was always quick to reply. At no time did I get the itchy feeling in the back of my head that I might not be getting what I paid for, and I feel like I got way more than what I paid for with these knives. They are beautiful. Golf clap to you, Mr. DeVillers. You make a great product, and I am extremely jazzed to be in possession of two of them. I think in the future going forward, though, I'm gonna He has a couple of not traditional, so not really my thing, but he does have a couple that have really caught my eye, and I think that'll be my next two acquisitions from ADV Tactical there. All right. And also wasn't planning on putting this in this video. I was going to do a video all on my own, but it came in just in time. I got me a new driver, right, from the same guy that made this one. Absolutely gorgeous, right? For what I paid, I think it was 123 bucks, 130 bucks on Etsy. Both of these were procured from the same guy on or same shop on Etsy. Both of them come from Israel. I actually remembered to have the card this time, so I can get it all. They come with certificates of authenticity, which I thought was pretty cool. The name of the company is on Etsy. The store is Machinedgift. It's GI Customs. They have quite a few different products, challenge coins, little tiny mini EDC type drivers, and then these guys. They've got them in, so far as I can tell, they got them in brass and titanium in different lengths and different designs. They all have a unique, top on the spinners here, and they're gorgeous, right? They're absolutely flawlessly gorgeous. They're 130 bucks. I mean, yeah, they're drivers, right? And really, if you're going, fancy driver or a Demco, 80/20.5, right? I probably would get that Demco, right? But if you take knives apart a lot, I have a larger collection. I service a lot of knives. I have some friends with knives. I sharpen knives. So I am pulling knives apart quite a bit. I do use drivers. These, again, the Weehaw short and dumpy, probably the only driver you'd ever need, right? But it's nice to have nice things, right? And these drivers are nice things, and I like them, right? I like them. It's the user interface, I guess, is nice. They feel nice. They're well made. Yeah, maybe if you've got that one knife already, and that'll be the last knife you ever purchase, then work on it in style and pick yourself up a driver. But I do like these guys. I know I showed this one off in my last video. I just off the top of my head I couldn't remember the deets on it, right? But this guy was in the mail today, so 8 or 9 days, I think, from Israel, where they come from. Yeah, Machinedgift, they're great. They're great drivers. There's a lot of drivers out there of this style that are just stupid overpriced for what they are, and there's quite a few of them that I would have seen very, very, very equivalent versions of on the Chinese online shops. So I am kind of dubious as to some of their pedigrees, so to speak. These are made in Israel. These are made by a guy named I was gonna give you the name, but I'm not gonna butcher that. Machinegifts on on Etsy, and you can read for yourself the gentleman's name. That's my mouth and tongue are not compatible with the pronunciation of that, and I would prefer just not to make a mockery of the esteemed individual's name, right? But they're great drivers. I love both of them. The brass one, I will, if you needed to beat somebody to death with your driver, this would be the one, right? It's like 4.5 pounds by itself. It's not that heavy, but it does, and I like the heavier drivers. It gives, for me, I feel like it gives me just a little bit more feel. And in the big T8s, T10s, T12s, right? Who cares, right? You're just spin them out, right? But the small stuff, right? 6s, 4s, right? You need that feel, man, because it's so easy to strip the heads out on those guys, especially when dealing with like clip screws on Spydercos. You know, especially if there's some of the older Spydercos where when they were using gallons of Loctite to secure everything, right? You need that feel, and I feel like the heavier, fatter style driver, you know, gives me that feel. So yeah, Machinedgifts on Etsy if you would like to get you one of these drivers for yourself. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming along with me tonight and checking out my new knives, right? Feeding the addiction vicariously through my acquisitions. And yeah, if you're in the market, man, for a big overbuilt knife, you know, the in these trying times with our economy being the way it is, and inflation and gas, and you just don't have, you know, money for one of the domestically produced overbuilts, right? Check out Mr. DeVillers, right? Check out ADV Tactical. I'll if I can remember to, I'll put a link down in the description, so that you guys can go check him out for yourself. But yeah, he's a fantastic guy. Super nice, easy to deal with, and the knives are gorgeous, and these are going to be a lifetime part of my collection. I mean, a huge, giant, crazy, you know, smoothly operating button lock, right? Who doesn't need something that ridiculous in their collection, right? It's huge. But it's gorgeous, and it's you know, I feel like I've gotten my money's worth and some, you know, from these guys. So go ahead and check them out. All right, regular knife people. This is the regular guy knife channel. I'm gonna bid you a good night.